They said he wanted a quiet wife. They said he wanted peace in his home. But when he finally got the woman who never spoke a word, he learned that silence can be louder than thunder.
Welcome to African Tales by Amara, where stories travel from the hearts of elders to the ears of the young. Long ago, in the peaceful village of Ndelem, where the morning drums called people to life and the evening fires told stories to the stars, there lived a young man named Obinna. Obinna was strong, tall, and known for his hard work. He farmed from sunrise to sunset, and his yam barn was always full. Yet, despite all his success, there was one thing that troubled him: his longing for a wife. He had watched many of his friends marry cheerful, lively women, but whenever he visited their homes, the noise of laughter, singing, and chattering annoyed him. He would often shake his head and say, all these women talk too much. I want a wife who is quiet, one who will never argue or question me. Peace is what I need, not chatter. Mama Chika would laugh softly and warn him, "My son, words bring life to a home. Silence can sometimes hide danger." But Obinna only smiled. He believed silence meant peace. When Obinna became of age, his people encouraged him to marry. Suitors came with their daughters, beautiful maidens with sparkling eyes and joyful hearts, but he rejected them all. One day, an old woman named Mama Nedi, known as the village matchmaker, came to him. "I heard you want a quiet wife," she said. "Yes," Obinna answered proudly. "A woman who speaks only when necessary. One who will never talk back." Mama Nedi chuckled. Her wrinkled face folded into 100 lines. "Be careful what you wish for, my son. Even silence can have a voice." But Obinna insisted, so she led him to a distant village beyond the 7 hills, a place where the wind carried strange whispers and the people spoke little. There he met Adaeze, a beautiful maiden who hardly spoke. Her eyes were gentle like the moon, her smile soft as a morning dew. When Obinna asked her name, she simply bowed. "She is very quiet though," Mama Nedi whispered. "She will not trouble your peace." Obinna was overjoyed. Without delay, he brought her home as his wife.
At first, life was sweet. Adaeze cooked, cleaned, and served her husband silently. She never complained, never argued, never questioned him. When Obinna returned from the farm, she greeted him with a bow and warm food. If he spoke, she nodded. If he scolded, she only lowered her eyes. Obinna often boasted to his friends, "See my wife, she is quiet like the night breeze. My home is peaceful. No noise, no talk, no trouble." The villagers admired her calmness. Some even envied Obinna. But after some months, the peace began to feel empty. The house was too quiet. When Obinna laughed, there was no echo. When he told a joke, there was no response. One evening, he said to Adaeze, "Why don't you sing like other women?" She only smiled faintly and continued pounding yam. That night, when he tried to talk to her, she turned away, silent as a shadow. Obinna frowned, but said nothing. He thought, maybe that's how quiet women behave. Days turned into weeks, and the silence deepened. Sometimes, Adaeze would stare at the fire, not blinking. Sometimes, she would sit outside at night, gazing into the dark forest. When Obinna asked what she was doing, she didn't reply. One morning, he woke up to find her gone. He searched the farm, the stream, the market, no sign of her. Then at dusk, she returned quietly, carrying a small clay pot filled with dark water. She placed it near the hearth and said nothing. "Where did you go?" Obinna asked. No answer. That night, strange whispers filled the hut, soft voices humming old songs. The pot near the hearth shimmered faintly. Obinna woke and saw Adaeze sitting before it, her eyes glowing faintly like fireflies. Fear gripped his heart. Adaeze, he shouted, what are you doing? She turned slowly and said in a calm, hollow voice, you said you wanted a quiet wife, didn't you? From that night, strange things began to happen in Obinna's home. When he spoke, his words seemed to vanish into the air, as if swallowed. When he sang, his own voice came back faint and distant. At night, shadows moved around their compound, though the gate was locked. The villagers whispered that Adaeze was not an ordinary woman. Mama Chika visited one morning, holding her walking stick. My son, your wife's silence is heavy. It does not breathe peace. It swallows it. Be careful. But Obinna, though afraid, could not send her away. Something about Adaeze made him feel trapped, as if her quiet eyes had tied his heart in invisible chains.
One afternoon, Obinna went to the farm but returned early because of sudden thunder. As he entered his compound, he heard low humming from inside the hut. He peeped through the window, and what he saw froze his blood. Adaeze was sitting before the clay pot again, but this time figures of smoke rose from it, faces whispering, hands reaching out. Around her, the ground trembled slightly. Adaeze, he shouted, stop whatever this is. She turned, her calm face now strange and distant. You asked for silence. These spirits obey silence. They do not speak, they only listen. I serve them now. Obinna staggered back, terrified. He ran to the elders. The elders gathered at the village square that evening. They listened to Obinna's trembling story. Old Chief Adaeze said, there is a tale from long ago of women who were too quiet, for their souls had been taken by the whispering ones, spirits that live between sound and silence. They feed on the peace of men who despise noise. Mama Neddy gasped, I warned him about silence that breathes no life. The elders decided to visit Obinna's house that evening, carrying palm fronds and kola nuts. When they arrived, Adaeze was sitting outside under the moonlight, the clay pot before her. The wind was still, and even the crickets had stopped singing. Chief Adaeze spoke. Daughter, who are you? Adaeze smiled faintly. I am the peace he wanted. Then before their eyes, the pot broke and a wave of cold air swept through the compound. The elders chanted prayers, calling on Allah, the Earth goddess, to cleanse the land. When the air settled, Adaeze was gone. Only her wrapper remained on the ground. When the morning came, the birds sang again. The air felt lighter, but Obinna's house was empty. He sat before the ashes of the broken pot, weeping. I asked for peace, but I killed my own laughter, he cried. The villagers pitied him. Mama Chika placed her hand on his shoulder. My son, silence without love is death. You wanted a quiet wife, but you forgot that words can heal, songs can bless, and laughter gives life. From that day, Obinna became a changed man. He helped at village gatherings, told stories to children, and learned to laugh again. But sometimes, on silent nights when the wind blew softly,
he would still hear a faint voice whisper, "You said you wanted quiet." And he would close his eyes and whisper, "Never again."
Mara, for more African folk tales under the glow of the moon. Which type of story should we tell next? Comment your idea. It might just be our next tale. See you soon.